So we've concluded looking at the Giza, Orion, and Hart Plaza correlation. So what I'd like to do now is look at some of the gateway symbolism located down here at Hart Plaza. Now, the arrangement we spoke of previously was mostly done back in the mid-70s. Well, the majority of this gateway symbolism we're going to speak about all emerged right around Detroit's 300th birthday and their bicentennial around 2001, some of it completed in 2003. First monument we can look at is the Gateway to Freedom. Now, this area where Hart Plaza now occupies was once one of the last stops on the Underground Railroad, and this became known as the Gateway to Freedom. Here's a sculpture by Ed Dwight in this recognition. When you look at the Gateway to Freedom from the other side, you see the slaves pointing, and they're pointing across the Detroit River. They're actually pointing over to Ontario. On the opposite side of the river is the companion piece to the Gateway to Freedom. This is called the Tower of Freedom. Tower of Freedom reads, "Keeping the flame of freedom alive." And together these two monuments make up the National Memorial to the Underground Railroad. Now halfway in between the Gateway to Freedom and the Horace the Elder and the Horace and Son Fountain sits this monument. And I didn't know what to make of this at first. I was down there with my friend William, and he pointed out to me, look at that thing. Kind of looks like the Tower of Babel. Even look around the top up there, all those cameras. Can we look at those as symbolically speaking the watchers? Well, why not? Of course, the Tower of Babel can be known as the gateway to the gods. And this is the true gateway symbolism down at Hart Plaza. This is the focal point of Hart Plaza. This is the Transcending Monument. And the Transcending Monument, this was a gift to the city of Detroit on Detroit's 300th birthday, done by a local artist by the name of David Barr. And it's hard to get a scale for size of this thing, but it's 5 stories tall, weighs in excess of 30 tons, absolutely huge structure. And like I said, it's called the Transcending Monument. Many of these monuments will literally be named in the recognition of transformation, time and time again. And the Transcending Monument is done by David Barr. And what he says this monument is to be symbolic of is a gear protruding from the earth. This is actually a UAW monument, the United Auto Workers. This is supposed to be symbolic of a gear protruding from the earth, and the part left unopened at the top, or left open at the top, is symbolic of the work that is yet to be done. Now, I see what he's saying, but when I look at this thing, it looks like a Stargate. People around Detroit, all the Detroiters, they call it the Stargate Monument, But the way this works, what I'd like to point out is how David Barr got the commission to build this monument. And this is how it works in most cases with these Stargate monuments we're going to look at today, is they'll have a contest. And that's how it happened in Detroit. Detroit brought in 120 different artists, had a dinner and a luncheon, brought them down to Hart Plaza, showed them around, and all these artists, got a feel for what they thought would fit in with the surrounding landscape, what would fit in and feel right with Noguchi's pieces. And, well, they chose David Barr's submission of this gateway-looking monument. And this happens time and time again, that these gateway monuments seem to be winning the commissions of late. So, if you have any family or friends that are architects, tell them to start doing some gateway monuments. Now, around the base of the Transcending Monument, there's 14 green granite Vermont boulder stones. These are the work of an artist by the name of Sergio D'Agusti. And on each one of these boulder stones is a bronze relief relating the sacrifices and achievements of the American workers. And these boulder stones wrap around the Transcending Monument in a green spiral and lead you right through the center of the gateway. Now, according to Sergio D'Agusti, he said that what him and David Barr wanted to do is they wanted to create something that would work well in simplicity with the work of Osamu Noguchi. And what he says about this is it is a spiritual and it's geometric, but without a lot of excess. And I see what it's saying. It is spiritual. It is geometric. You got the green granite spiral leading through the center. And it is without a lot of excess. You just can't get enough of this thing when you're down there. Now, I want to point out this green boulder stone down here in the bottom left. It has a depiction of Dr. Martin Luther King on it. Underneath it, it's a little hard to read here, but it reads, "The arc of history bends towards justice." Now, what's Dr. Martin Luther King doing on a stone down here under the Transcending Monument? Well, the reason he's down here is that back in 1963, this is where Dr. King gave his "I Have a Dream" speech for the very first time, previous to him delivering it the Washington Memorial. Not many people know this. And according to local newspapers, this was the largest civil rights demonstration in the nation's history up to this point. A couple 100,000 freedom fighters, they gathered a little ways up Woodward and they marched down to the base of Woodward and Jefferson Avenue. That's where Hart Plaza and the Transcending Monument now occupies. They gathered down here, the base of Woodward and Jefferson, these 100,000 freedom fighters marching for their freedom. They gathered and joined arm in arm. They start singing songs of freedom, songs such as "We Shall Overcome," "The Battle Hymn of the Republic." I get goosebumps just thinking about this. Surely they were imbuing this landscape with some of their own energies, and I believe they were also soaking up some of the energies that were previously deposited here at Hart Plaza. The reason I say that is mostly because of the way that Dr. King decides to conclude his "I Have a Dream" speech for the very first time. He marches into the adjoining Cobo Hall, delivers his "I Have a Dream" speech, and concludes it in this incredible way. "I have a dream this afternoon that the brotherhood of man will become a reality in this day. And with this faith, I'll go out with you and carve a tunnel of hope through the mountains of despair. And with this faith, I will go out with you and transform dark yesterdays into bright tomorrows. With this faith, we'll be able to achieve this new day when all of God's children, black men, white men, Jews, Gentiles, Protestants, and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing with the Negroes and the spirituals of old. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last." And I'd like to repeat this one statement just one more time, because I believe these words ring true for now and today as much as they did back then. "With this faith, I'll go out and carve a tunnel of hope," a wormhole, "through the mountains of despair. And with this faith, I'll go out with you and transform dark yesterdays into bright tomorrows." And I believe that's what we're being asked to do, and what we can all begin to do by becoming aware of this transformational symbolism, tuning into it, and each and every one of us transcending these gateways to freedom.